All right, well then let's move on to the next bit of topic, and this is going to be kind of a quick hit that again leads into another topic that we have coming out. Via Bleeding Cool, we got our first image of Trend International's Marvel character poster for 2015. Nice. This poster is notable because it's missing quite a few Marvel mainstays that have been in previous posters.
Continuing the trend that we discussed a couple weeks ago.
Yes, exactly. Of the downplaying of the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. So I'm putting up on the screen right now the image of this poster from 2007. Now, you guys may have actually seen this poster. I've actually had a couple of friends themselves who've owned the 2007 version of this poster. And it's a poster that features Marvel comic book characters. None of the artwork on this poster was created originally for this poster. It's images of characters from other books repurposed for this lineup. And you'll see that in the lineup we see the X-Men, we see the Fantastic Four, we see the Avengers, we see everybody. Then they redid this poster in 2013. They got rid of the red Marvel logo at the bottom. It was more of a black background around all the heroes. The X-Men and the Fantastic Four were kind of pushed off to the side, and the Avengers were kind of brought more front and center. But this year, the poster that they're releasing has absolutely no X-Men or Fantastic Four characters on it. I mean, like, not even Doctor Doom, who's a pretty big character in Secret Wars, the new one, even the old one, is not there. So, I guess, what are your thoughts on this poster?
I mean, I guess we can't consider it too much of a surprise at this point. It's continuing to be disappointing. It certainly highlights Marvel's priorities right now.
It honestly makes me think that with this poster coming out and with what we've heard about merchandising dying down for X-Men and Fantastic Four all around, I personally believe that any merchandise that was already in production, like for instance the Sabretooth Marvel zombie figure, that's still coming out because it's already been licensor approved, it's in production, it's too far along. But starting effective today or whatever financial quarter they want to pick this year, nothing is in production for X-Men or Fantastic Four. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like.
So it's really a disappointment. So we won't get, I mean, just looking at the table for this week's show, I mean, these guys right here, you're not going to be able to get those at the end of this year. They're not coming out next year. I guess I should throw in here really quick that the San Diego...
Gene's actually waving goodbye.
Yeah, Gene is waving goodbye here. I guess Beast could be too. But it's, I guess, worth noting too, if you're a fan of Marvel Legends like I am, your last chance to get an X-Men character might be in the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Book of Ashanti that was just announced, which features 5 characters who are magic characters from the Marvel Universe. In there is the magic figure that we saw announced at San Diego Comic-Con last year, and Hasbro kind of said, well, we developed this, but we don't know what series we're going to be able to put her in. Well, it looks like our final X-Men legend may be part of the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. So if you're a fan of the X-Men, get your pre-orders in early or go to the show because that might be your last chance for a good while to be able to get any X-Men characters. So, but yeah, so as we move on then and we talk about those posters, let's kind of roll into the actual official images that came straight from Marvel directly. We've got a first look and a second look at the Marvel comic book universe post Secret Wars. So the first image that popped up, and I'm putting it up on the screen now, features a lineup of characters including Spider-Woman / Spider-Gwen, the Peter Parker Spider-Man, presumably, the Miles Morales Spider-Man. We've got the Jessica Drew Spider-Woman, the new design. We have Iron Man, which has since been confirmed to be Tony Stark. I have thoughts on that. Mm-hmm. We have Phil Coulson. We've got Captain Falcon. We've got the Sam Wilson Captain America. Steve Rogers, Black Panther. And then a shocking conclusion, Red Wolf. So if you look on that poster in the lower right-hand corner, there's a Native American-like guy with face paint and a bow and arrow, and he apparently has some mystical abilities and a sidekick wolf named Lobo, which I think is a terrible name for a wolf sidekick. It's so cliche. But anyway, I guess, what are your thoughts on the poster?
I have actually not seen the poster,
okay.
But I don't know who Red Wolf is. Is he new, I guess? Is that what you're
Red
saying?
Wolf is a character who has bounced around the Marvel Universe. I think he was introduced in the 1970s during Roy Thomas's run on the Avengers as an attempt to create diversity for the team. Mm-hmm. They brought on your stock Native American character, which they've done better with characters like Warpath and Forge. They've done better with representing the Native Americans. Dr. Voodoo. But anyway, what we're looking at with this character is it's just a character I think that Marvel kind of looked back and said, what have we got out there that's kind of different? And they're bringing it back to the forefront. And I guess that's what we're getting. I don't know. It's just weird that he's on the poster for Post-Secret War.
It's exciting to have Coulson on the lineup. I don't suppose there was any hint at his robotic hand or anything of that?
Nothing like that in the poster. Okay. So, and I think what we can get from this, I don't think the sales, at least from what I've seen at my local comic book shop, I don't work a comic book shop, but from what I've seen, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comic book series that's been coming out, I don't think it's been as big of a seller as they were hoping it would be. Mm-hmm. So at least this poster lets us know that Coulson's still going to be around, even though this book is likely coming to an end post-Secret War.
No, that's too bad.
So again, I don't know that for sure, but there are always copies of this book on the shelf. You never have any trouble getting it. That's not usually a good sign. Mm-hmm. So, but it's interesting that we've got 4 Spider characters on this first image. I personally love the fact that Spider-Gwen presumably Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman are all around. I maintain that Spider-Verse is one of the most fun events that we've had so far this year, and I don't think you can have too many Spider-Men in the Marvel Universe at this point. So let's do... in the DC Universe, you've got the Gotham Knights, right? You've got Batgirl, Robin, Red Hood, Batman, all those guys, and they can all exist in the same city, and they're all kind of similarly themed, but they're all their own characters. I love that Spider-Man seems to be getting his own version of, like, the Spider Knights, or...
We can probably lose Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham, yeah, he has his fans. But yeah, he certainly doesn't need to be on the front cover of every issue. So I guess that's just my general thoughts, your general thoughts there on that first poster. But then the second poster that was released, and this just came out last night, Thursday, we're recording on Friday. This one is a little more telling of what we can expect post-Marvel Cinematic Universe. We get characters on here like The Thing, so we have confirmation that at least one Fantastic Four character is still going to exist. And should I add, one Fantastic Four character that so far hasn't shown up in Secret Wars. And he's got the Guardians of the Galaxy outfit on, which I think is pretty cool.
So what are they going to do with Thing?
Obviously, they're sending him off into space, but I think they're trying to give him more prominence, maybe by making him a central character of the Guardians team. Mm-hmm. We'll see. I mean, maybe he's the bruiser for the Fantastic Four. The Guardians have Drax. They've got Groot, I guess, as their bruisers. It's interesting to see to add him another bruiser to the team.
I guess what I mean more is why do you think they're taking a gamble on Thing?
I think because Thing's a fun character. Mm-hmm. He's just... I mean, he's the monstrous character, right? I mean, for the Fantastic Four, he is anyway.
His role's pretty clear.
Yeah, his role's pretty clear. You would think.
Yeah.
So I also find it interesting that Rocket Raccoon in that image seems to be positioned above him. Now, Rocket is actually on like a hoverboard of sorts. He's not standing on Ben's shoulder, which I thought it looked like initially. But I think he's just going to be the fun character to get in there and smack guys around, saying it's clobbering time and space. Mm-hmm. We have Rocket Raccoon, as I mentioned on the poster. Hyperion's on there. Medusa's on there. And then we get an image of Daredevil, who's in a mostly all-black outfit, which I think very much echoes the Netflix Daredevil costume.
Very popular right
now. That's kind of interesting. I don't know that I'm entirely sold on the look of the character yet, but it's notable that they've changed him all black. We have Doctor Strange with an axe. Doctor Strange hasn't typically used weapons in the past, and I'm curious to see where this axe comes into play and if it's part of Secret War. I guess we'll find out. We've got Old Man Logan, which I don't think is a surprise to anybody at this point. If there were any X-Men property that we could safely say Marvel seems to want to support, it's certainly Old Man Logan at this point. So he seems like he might be the standard Wolverine moving forward in the new new comic book universe. Star-Lord's on there. There's a character who I think looked a lot like Alex Mercer from Prototype. Do you remember that hoodie-wearing, jacket-wearing guy from the Activision games?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Taking me a blast from the past.
That was my first thought when I saw this guy, but apparently it's Karnak.
Okay.
So Karnak, I didn't realize he had passed away, but I guess he's back now, and he just looks like Alex Mercer.
Well, there we go.
And then the biggest one for me on this poster is the new image of Wolverine. I want to talk about that a little bit. We all kind of wondered what was going on with the X-Men, with the death of Wolverine, what was going to happen. I just assumed that Old Man Logan was going to be the standard Wolverine, and that was going to replace the previous Wolverine. It looks like while Old Man Logan is going to exist in the post-Secret War universe, the all-new, all-different Marvel universe, X-23 has been confirmed to be the identity of that female Wolverine in this preview image. So I'm personally really excited about this.
Yeah. It's a great fit for X-23 for sure.
I think so too. I mean, I've been a big fan of her since she first debuted on X-Men Evolution. And actually, the first thing I did when I saw that it was X-23 and learned that that was true is I tweeted at Chris Yost. Craig Kyle and Chris Yost co-created X-23 for X-Men Evolution. Both of them worked on New X-Men and have, on and off each other have been writing the character since she was brought into the comics. And I was like really excited. I was like, new chapter in X-23's life. So I tweeted, congratulations on the promotion, Laura. Can't wait to see what, Chris Yost does with you. And he responded to me, news to me. So he had no idea that they were doing this with X-23. I thought that was hilarious. I hope that means he's still somehow involved in her storytelling because I think he's really good for the character. But I thought it was funny that the character of X-23 had no idea that she was the new Wolverine until the rest of us found out.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, so I thought that was a lot of fun. But overall, these images, I think, are kind of interesting. You'll notice that characters are missing, like the Hulk. Both of these images feature Iron Man and a costume that's definitely a different look, but it's the same one that we got in the free comic book day issue of Avengers that came out, back in May. Now, IGN had an interview with Alex Alonso, and he did confirm that that was Tony Stark in the armor. I wonder if it's Ultimate Tony in the armor.
I don't know the difference.
Well, as you've read Ultimate in, Ultimate Tony is more of a full of himself, more of a sarcastic guy.
Is he the guy that didn't want to take the blame?
Basically, yeah. Okay. And what I find interesting about that is in Alex Alonso's interview with IGN, he kind of talked about how Robert Downey Jr. is front and center in the cinematic universe, and they want to have an Iron Man that reflects that. Mm-hmm. Well, 616 Iron Man hasn't really had that attitude ever because that's not how he was written. That's what Downey brought to the character. But Ultimate Iron Man, by coincidence, really, has always been kind of a smarmy jerk and been very confident in his abilities. If he replaces the 616 Iron Man in this comic book, I think that would be a good fit as far as matching up with the movies. Again, we don't know that. And the Free Comic Book Day issue of Avengers didn't really seem to suggest that it was the ultimate version of Tony Stark in the armor. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see where they go with this, but I think that'd be really cool, and it would explain the redesign and how the mask even kind of sort of looks like the ultimate Tony Iron Man mask.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Do you have any additional things you'd like to add to that?
Well, you were talking about how Hulk isn't there, and I was just noticing that with the inclusion of Thing, is he going to serve more in the big hulking monster role, and what are they doing with Hulk?
I don't know, because
standalone Hulk book?
Right now Hulk he's got his intelligence back.
Uh-huh.
So which is actually very similar to the original Secret War when he was smart during that storyline too. I don't know, now that they've got Hulk in that sort of state, if they want to keep him there. I don't know how the readers are really reacting to it. I haven't read a lot of Hulk stuff with him being Smart Hulk again. Mm-hmm. If people like it, I assume they'd want to go ahead and keep Smart Hulk, but I guess anything could happen. Initially, before Alex Alonso confirmed that was in fact Tony Stark in the Iron Man armor, a lot of people were thinking that the Bruce Banner was in that Iron Man armor, which I thought would have been kind of an interesting twist, especially since he's all smarts anymore. So I don't know if that really answers your question. But that's kind of where I see that going.
Well, I don't really know from previous comic reading, I guess, what to take from images like these. Are these a sign of, like, the people who aren't here are going to have big, important standalone books, or are they just going to fall to the wayside?
I think Marvel's response to that so far has been a lot of announcements are coming.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know that we really have a straight answer on that one way or another.
Yeah, so there could be more info on the way.
Correct. And if you'll bear with me, guys, here, we actually had a viewer question, which I think ties into what we're doing right now. So give me just a moment here. Okay, so Ryan, he's written into the show before. And guys, if you want to write into us, you can tweet me at D21Beast or tweet Greg at Yoshimitsu47. Yep. Just make sure you hashtag Project Geek Week so we can find the question really easily, just like I've done here. But we'll be glad to answer your show on the air and kind of give you our thoughts. Ryan asked, do you think Marvel will get rid of the X-Men completely? And I believe he means post-Secret War. So my thought on that is that the X-Men won't go away completely. And the reason for that is, I think, for that is that Marvel doesn't want to be caught in a trap, essentially. If they go and murder all the X-Men and get rid of them, and suddenly they get the movie rights back, well, now they've got to explain, like, well, what do we do to bring them back?
Yeah.
So there are rumors floating out there. I know Forbes, and I'm sorry I don't have the exact place that Forbes sourced, but they had a rumor that they were talking about where the X-Men supposedly, and this is potentially a spoiler, guys, but it's not really if you see what Marvel's been doing with the property lately. They say that post-Secret War that the X-Men will be isolated to their own corner of the universe. So somewhere off in space doing their own thing that does not interact with the Marvel universe at large. So
they'll have a book.
They'll have a book, basically, yeah. We don't know if they'll have as many spin-off books as they have now. Obviously, with this all-new, all-different Marvel image that we've seen with the X-23 on there, X-23 and Old Man Logan may not even be with the X-Men. Who knows? But it seems like they're going to put him somewhere safely tucked away where they can still keep writing stories because the X-Men books do sell, much to the chagrin of Marvel at this point. I don't know that we'll get a lot of important stories out of these tales because they don't want to have anything that Fox can potentially feed off of. Mm-hmm. But they'll be somewhere doing something until Marvel gets the go-ahead to bring them back, basically, when things go the way that they want them to. So
good to know they'll still be around in some fashion.
I think so, too. And again, that's completely unconfirmed, but it's been reported by a few different sites. It does kind of make sense with the attitude that Marvel's had lately. And, with the state that Cyclops is in right now.
Yes.
He's the Phoenix Cyclops, essentially.
Spoilers.
So, we'll talk about that when we get to Secret Wars number 3. But originally, when I heard this rumor, I was like, well, that wouldn't make sense. How do you get all the mutant characters out into space and kind of isolated? Well, if Scott sees a reason for them to need to be somewhere different, maybe he can, being the Phoenix Force, just teleport everybody, friends and allies, off to this distant area, and they can just have their own little adventures. Yeah. So that's kind of what my prediction is, Ryan, about what's going on. I think that the X-Men will still very much be doing something. It just won't be very important because Marvel doesn't want to give any ammunition to Fox, but they'll still be around, and I'll certainly still be reading the book at that point.
Absolutely.
So, but of course, we won't know anything for sure until Secret Wars is over.